Right, so welcome to today's talk. I want to dive into team leadership and culture. There's been a lot of talks about Ferrari and the team culture, the leadership around the team and what's going on there. Citing things like Binottos' lack of leadership, the managing with a fear-based energy or a fear-based culture, which caused such a decline in Ferrari's performance over the second part of the first half of the year. Of course, we know this after the summer break, the second half of Grand Prix is kicking off this weekend. But they had a brilliant start to the season. I mean, they were the team to beat in the beginning of the season, start of the season. And just to clarify for today's talk, for those of you who are not in a team environment, who does not know the nuances of managing a team based on fear, this is normally when a leader expresses energy and uses fear, instill fear into people to manage them that way. I've seen this for over 25 years that I've managed teams. You see that often, and often it is a lack of self-awareness, a lack of confidence from the leader itself. Not always. There are definitely instances where especially young leaders don't have the skills to manage a team, and they just mimic and they model what they've seen from, let's say, the only manager they might have had up until that point that managed that way. And as soon as you help them with their skill development and things like that, things changes drastically, which is great. So that's the team that you have that's based on fear. They will, especially fear members, will feel anxious all the time and especially worry about the consequences of their decisions. It's almost like this whirlwind of you make a decision today and this is the consequence. Tomorrow somebody else or even you make the same decision as completely different consequence or outcome because of that. So very hard as a team member to operate in a team environment like that, very hard. Then you, on the other side of the spectrum, you get a team that's based on, the team culture is based on trust. So you essentially create this environment where people can out of a sense of security, meet their objectives and they can meet their goals. And they know that they have this sense of security that they know if this is the goal that they need to meet, that they will have the tools available. Even if the manager doesn't have the resources available, the manager will support or the team leader will support and help them to get to that point where they have the resources available to do that. Now, in an article by Motorsport, they spoke with Ferrari. I had an interview with Binotto. Lots of interviews with Binotto, Matteo Binotto. On the era, there was an era of finger pointing within Ferrari for sure, for many, many years. And Binotto has assured that that's not the way he wants to manage. That's not the way he wants to lead the team, and he wants to empower the team completely. And he is putting in a lot of effort, as per his words, to empower people, to show them that he trusts them. Now, as a leader, it's difficult to show people when I, as a leader, show a team member that I trust them, it's really about me, which it should not be. But if you create the space and the environment for people to be autonomous, everything about that scenario or about that culture is about them. And that's really where you want to get, the place that you want to get to. Now, granted that I do think there's a lot of things that gets lost in translation when Matteo Binotto speaks, because English is not his first language. But yeah, we won't know, right? Because I don't have the interview directly with him. So I want to quote what he said. I'm not the one that will go into detail of every single element, which is fantastic. A team leader should not be bogged down in the details at all. That's why you have people that should run the show underneath you. You are the one that should give the vision and the direction and make sure everybody pulls in the same direction. And Binottos says, I'm more focused on myself, making sure that, as I said before, they've got whatever is required to do the job. That sort of first raised some eyebrows when he said that he's more focused on himself. Again, English is not his first language. I do want to think that what he meant by this is that he is focusing on making sure that he can give them what they need. And then I know how important is the mood in the team. I know how important is the mental approach and the culture. We are working a lot on it inside the team, trying to change our culture compared to what it was and what we believe is the right attitude and behaviors to put in place. I can see that the team is somehow very united, and I think that you can get that through transparency. Now, here's the thing. When you have a team and work with a sports team, the team is either united or they're not united. You don't get a team that's sort of half united. You don't get a team that's somewhat united. The entire team is united or the team is not united. Was speaking to a coach this in the week as well, and just having for example, let's say you have a hockey team or a netball team or a rugby team. Just having the players united is also not good enough. The entire team and the structure of everybody around that team should really be united. So a lot of times people are under, or coaches and team managers are under the illusion that if the players are united, that's good enough. Not good enough. You're still going to have holes in the performance of the team if the entire structure around the team is not united. So Binotto does go on and say that he acknowledged that he is a strict person. So if you look at the definitions of strict, one is demanding that rules concerning behavior are obeyed and observed. Secondly, following rules or beliefs exactly. Now, I don't think that's what he means when he says strict. I think what he implies is that he has definite boundaries and consequences for those boundaries. Because as a leader of a high performance team, there isn't any place to be strict. There are scenarios where you lay a rule down, make a decision, lay it down, especially in a high risk scenario where you have risk that you need to avert, something has gone wrong. There's no time to have a conversation or get the team together, sit around a table and think, what are we going to do? You make a decision and you tell the team, this is what we're going to do. And then, but what you still want to do is after that, you do want to bring the team back together and debrief on whatever it is that has happened and see if there were other decisions that would have been useful and helpful in that scenario. So there are several factors that lead to a ton of stuff that lead to a team being a high performance team or leading to high performance within a team. But I want to highlight one that comes out of this theme of conversations and all of the stories around Reynolds' performance. Not Reynolds. You see, Daniel Ricciardo is in my head as well, around Ferrari's performance. And that is the sense of control. And it consists out of two elements. It's autonomy and mastery. When people feel they have autonomy within a team, their performance will be next level and will just go up a notch. If people feel that they are in a space where there is room for mastery, again, the same thing. So autonomy, when it comes to autonomy, and if you read about Stephen Kotler's work and the research that he has done, people for the most part want to be in charge of how their day is going, the hours they work, their fun activities and sports they do, how much and when, and sleep as well. And even you can think back, I'm thinking about myself, times where I had to stay up late. I had no choice, I had to do something, but I really wanted to go to bed and I was frustrated and angry about that. So those are one of the main three things that people want to have autonomy over. They want to have a say in how they direct themselves and direct their own lives. And word on the street has it that within Ferrari, people were not able to make their own decisions. People were not allowed to make their own decisions. They don't have the confidence to make decisions. when it matters, especially in pressure situations and in high performance situations and within the team. And that's what you really exactly need to be able to do. Now, there's a big difference between a leader, and I've said it, a leader that manages with a fear energy, and people are scared to make decisions, they feel they don't have the confidence, all of that, versus people that don't have the skill to do that. Because when a person doesn't have the skill, you teach them the skill and they go on and do the thing. That's how easy it is. So it's very easy to blame a leader because a person acts a certain way, but nobody questions why that specific individual act the way they do. Whether are they scared because they're scared of a previous leadership? Are they scared of the current, really scared of the current leadership, or fear the current leadership and the way that's being run and the culture? Or is it just because they don't know how to do it or they don't have the skill? And then the second thing is the mastery. So that's actually where so once you've determined that the person doesn't have the skill, you give them the tools, you train them, you help them, you mentor them, coach them, whatever you need to do, and you give them an opportunity to master that skill. To expand their own abilities, right? Because you do not want to be the same person. So let's say you are a Ferrari team member. Doesn't matter where you work, part of the pit crew, doesn't really matter. Race engineering, strategist, whatever. You do not want to be the same person that you were a year ago. And if you are, even worse, if you are less than the person that you were a year ago, then as a team member, you have to evaluate your environment and evaluate what's really going on. And it would be great for a team leader to be able to recognize that in their team members and in their the group that they work with. Even if a person is not leading a team out of fear and with a fear-based leadership style, he can still put in a lot of effort to empower the team. Then you have to ask, and then that question about, does the team really have the skill to be able to do that? So that's then the question one has to ask. So interestingly enough, Binottos joined Ferrari in 1995, went through different roles. In 2004, he became part of the race engineering team, worked his way up, and in 2019 he was appointed as team principal. There wasn't much racing in 2020. There's been racing in 2021. One or two races cancelled or moved. Dates moved still due to the pandemic. So I think it's fair to say that in 2022 is really the first test for him and his team as to how well they perform. I remember when I went into a global corporate company many years ago to go and rescue the office. They wanted to close down the office, to go in and sort out the leadership and sort out the things that was going on in there. One of the first things I did was to interview almost every single person, and to view every single person in a leadership interview, but I have a conversation with every single person in a team leadership position, and sort of gauge their character and find out a little bit more about their own values, character. Although they did come and tell me everything that was wrong in the office and everything everybody else is doing wrong, I was more interested in their own character and what it is they do and how they, what culture they create within the bigger team. And it took me almost 3 to 4 years to change that team and bring them back as a high performance, or to create a high performance operational team. Just because of, I mean, it's a massive office, so it's a huge undertaking. You cannot go into a team and think you're going to turn that entire team around within 1 year. It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. We see it so often when a new leader takes over a team, and it's not just the team that is working with on a Formula One weekend, it's the team at the factory, it's all of the auxiliary staff around them that's not present at race weekend, which is hundreds of people. And it is impossible to turn a team or organization or a structure around in a year. And so often people expect them to do that, especially coaches as well. They bring in a new coach, team has been losing. After a year, the team has not made any progress yet, and they ask the coach, get a new one in. There's no way you can develop a team and take the team to better and higher objectives if there's no consistency within the leadership. Granted, the leadership is obviously working on their own development. Leadership is creating their own culture and fostering a culture of a high performance team where every single individual can rise to the top, not just the team itself. Every single person in the team should have a space and a place where they can meet their own objectives and be a better player, be a better athlete, be a better whatever at the end of the season as well, and then bring that team collectively together as bring the individuals collectively together as a team. So a lot said about teams and team leadership. We'll see how this plays out over the next 9 races and what evolves and goes on, especially in the Ferrari camp over the next 9 races. And I am excited to see what they are going to do and what's going to come out of this whole question around Binottos leadership. So we'll keep an eye on that, and I'll talk to you again. Bye.